around the block while Chad is mowing the lawn before he goes away again. This week was a rough week, just with things going on and work. And but I had some amazing conferences and things I went to. That was just a really good recenter. And yeah, so this weekend it's been really good just to get out and about and take Chloe for a walk and watch our friend's son's soccer game. And then we're off to the movies with my brother and my sister-in-law tonight. So it's just going to be fun and relaxing. Tomorrow we've got church. I have kids' church, which I'm really excited about. They've just launched a new campus in North Perth, and so I'm going to go down in the evening and possibly help out with that as well. And yeah, just feeling really good. On Monday, so today's Saturday, so Monday we have our follow-up with the doctor, and I guess hopefully we'll get some answers with what he recommends doing next for our next round, and if we get the go-ahead to possibly start the next round in October. So we shall see. Way to serving kids church this morning. I'm actually really looking forward to it. So yeah, it's gonna be a good morning. Then football training and then church again tonight. Hi guys, so we just got back from our doctor's appointment. I'm not sure if I'm excited or nervous, but we are definitely doing round 4. There was no talk of that it wouldn't be wise to move forward or anything like that. I think I didn't even contemplate that idea that we might recommend no further treatment until I was sitting in the waiting room, and then I just recognized that that doesn't sound like it's a voice from God, so I'm just going to dismiss that, and I did. So I came in with like a bunch of questions. Last round we got an embryo, so I didn't really have a whole lot of questions. I felt that were answered the round before that, but this time, because it felt like we'd almost gone back to the results we had at the first round, I had a lot of questions going forward. Sorry, I think I just got a message. Anyway, so I guess what I'll do now is kind of go over some of the questions I had, and then I'll go through and answer them with you. I love our doctor, Dr. Sunny, as he's known. He said hi, we walked in, we sat down, I pulled out my bit of paper and he's like, all right, Catherine, you've got questions for me. So I was like, oh, no, you go first. He's like, no, you ask your questions and then I'll see if I can incorporate them all into my answer and response for you. I was like, okay. So I guess my first question is like, okay, what is it going to look like and what are we going to do differently going forward? Was it more of a egg health issue this time? We had there, we started with 11 eggs and we dropped down to 8, which I felt like was a higher drop off than before. What with the ratings of the embryos, and he kind of showed us, but I didn't actually really ask that one because I felt like he answered our other questions enough to like move forward from there. I have quite a lot of inflammation issues, and do I need to do anything specifically to help with inflammation, as I have done some reading saying that inflammation is definitely an infertility factor. Should I move to being on birth control first, and kind of, because I've got PCOS and my the follicle growth is kind of all over the place. I have some at like under 10 millimeters at the end of it, and I've got some at like 23. So I've got like a really big range. So I need to go on birth control first. Do we need to change the protocol and possibly move to a day 3 transfer with 2 embryos?
Is there permanent long-term damage done to my ovaries? And can we start again in October? So they're kind of like the main questions I had. So I thought he did a great job of answering the questions I really were looking for. And so before I got too far into it, he says, yes, we are changing your protocol. So what Dr. Sunny first described to me is really there's only two protocols. You stimulate first and then you take a suppressant to stop it. So you're stimulating the follicles, but then you start, usually at day 5, you start a suppressant, so it's not allowing your body to release the eggs. So you're stimulating and growing, but you're not ovulating yet. That's all very controlled, and that's what the trigger does. The trigger gets your body ready to release the egg, and then they do the harvest. Okay, the other way, the second protocol they use is where they suppress first. And this is stimulation starts on usually day 2 or day 3 of your cycle, so you're still on your period. Where the other protocol where you suppress first and then stimulate, it's supposed to help the cluster grow more similarly and maybe more symmetrically as far as I understand. But the cluster of the eggs will be a tighter, not so many variances in sizes and stuff. So with that actually starts on day 21 of your cycle. So he did say he also would be looking at doing a day 3 transfer and possibly doing 2 or even up to 3. He would be okay with doing 2 or 3 embryos out of day 3. So he was just really encouraging, even though he started by saying, look, I'm really sorry, this was really disappointing, this round, and it looked a lot more like the first round. What he did show us though on his chart when he kind of compared our last cycles and the breakdown of the eggs and the fertilization and everything, and this time is those that even though I had a higher drop off from the eggs harvested, so we had 11 and we were at 8 mature, the 8 that I had, like 8 mature eggs is a good number. So that part was okay. And I'll explain something in a little bit that he kind of explained to me when he answered one of my other questions. The fertilization part actually looked good and better than before. And so he was happy with the fertilization, but again, and then your body starts to send the message to stop. And so what it does, it only releases one good egg, usually in most people a month. So what happens during IVF is that instead of the rest of the 30 eggs kind of falling off and dying off before you get this one good egg that's released, the IVF and the medication is bringing as many of those to the surface. So he also explained it's not, when you're doing IVF, you're not taking like the reserve, you're not touching like your egg reserve, you're just encouraging the eggs that would have fallen away and died off naturally to actually continue to stimulate and grow. And so he said even out of those 30 eggs, most people only get 8 to 10 good eggs. So even though I got 11 eggs, that 8 was still an all right number, because within the like 30-ish eggs that my body would be producing naturally on its own, that's around the number that would be good and healthy. So obviously out of all of the follicles ranging from like under 10 millimeters to like up to 25 or whatever I had, going into all of those, they found like 8 mature eggs. So even though I'm still going to be working on the health of my eggs and my ovaries over the next couple months, I feel a lot better about the fall off. I was really quite concerned, but he wasn't concerned, so that's good. And before I sign off, we were looking at doing another round in October. Now, when Chad was doing the math in his head in the appointment, he was explaining to me that he's like, oh, that's going to be cutting it really close to us going away at the end of November, because we are suppressing at the beginning, which makes the cycle a lot longer. So we asked, is that going to be too close? He goes, yeah, I think that's going to be a bit close. And I'm like, but is September going to be too early? And he's like, no. He goes, the reason we put the gap in between last time, because you did so many retrievals before, is because quite often that can help your body take time and recover. But that didn't actually do anything. That didn't help us this last time. So he's not as concerned about leaving that kind of gap in between the rounds. So to kind of wrap up what we got from this, we are flipping the protocol on its head. We are suppressing first and then stimulating to try and get more even follicle growth and a better cluster and healthier cluster of eggs that we have. And we are also going to be starting on day 21 of my cycle in the month of September, hopefully ready for retrieval in early October, possibly doing transfer of 2, possibly even 3 day 3 embryos. So I have walked away feeling good, and I guess more excited than I felt about this last round. I think the worst case scenario for me would him being saying, okay, let's do the exact same thing again, because I was like, okay, we've done that 3 times and that's not worked for us, which I guess is why all of a sudden in the waiting room I got a bit nervous, like, oh, what if this is our only option and way to do this? Anyway, it's not. We're going to try something else. It was really hard seeing there. I counted, we got there at 2:30 or just before 2:30 in the afternoon. We left by 3:30, and there was probably 10 couples come through the IVF clinic during that time. And all I could think and start praying in my head is like, these couples are from all different ethnicities, all different body shapes and types. It wasn't like, oh, they look infertile. Oh, they look infertile. And I was just like, wow, it affects so many more people than even I comprehended. You say the numbers in your head. 1 couple in 8 have infertility issues, and you're like, oh, okay, that seems pretty high. But just looking at the people around me going through this was crazy. And so, I know I say this each time, but guys, I am praying for you. I'm praying for your miracle. I'm praying for the pain of infertility. I'm praying that this time, this month is your month. And all I can say is that our God is big enough, and he doesn't get bogged down in all the details. That's something we do. So, love you guys. I'm excited to fill you in the journey. It looks like it's only going to be a month and a half off, and we're starting this crazy thing all over again. So until next time, guys, I will see you around. Bye.